set, Kim? Okay. Let's call a village meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Additions, deletions, changes to the proposed agenda for this evening. None. Roll call.
President Schneider.
Present.
President Pro Tem Dyke.
Present.
Councilmember Feldman.
Present.
Councilmember Glasser.
Present.
Councilmember Kuligowski. Councilmember Stuffler.
So communications and don't see anything. Hearing that. Okay. Regular meeting minutes for our July 5th meeting. This is something, one of the little things that I found that we tried to fix under approval of consent agenda, paragraph 1C, we had language, golf carts driving in, so we changed driving to driven, but the correction looks like we added an S to beans. Pardon?
I didn't do that in the actual minutes.
Oh, okay. All right. That's just okay. Fine. Great. What's everybody's thoughts regarding the fact that council under 3 liability insurance audit, when we were discussing claims that were coming in and making a decision whether or not to submit to our carrier or just carry the loss ourselves. And I think we discussed and decided that decisions as to those claims would be at the administration level and not come before council for approval. So we did discuss that, and what are your thoughts as far as including that in the minutes?
As a consensus, under the consensus.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, we discussed it, but we also said if it was within the manager's spendable allowance, because
Over the threshold.
Because if it goes over the threshold, then it would go to council.
It's beneficial to add that. Oh, that is all that I had as far as minutes were concerned. Anybody else on the minutes for the July 5th meeting? Okay, general fund. Major streets, local streets, Parks and Recreation Fund, Downtown Development Authority Fund, Sewer Fund, Water Fund, Equipment Fund, Payroll Register Report, Water Report, looks like that's staying fairly steady, up a little bit compared to last year. I guess that's good. DPW monthly report. For DPW. Wastewater treatment plant monthly report. Police report. Construction Code Authority
I don't know the address. I did notice on the code enforcement, and this was back to the last meeting to this meeting. It was on May 8th, I believe, as I saw it. Yeah, 205 Courier. I don't know what address I don't know which house that is, but in the last meeting, I had brought up, somebody had said something about a barn falling in. The house is on Courier Street. It's the last house on the right side, not the one right as it dead ends to the south, but it's on the west side. It's a white house, has grass about waist height. It looks abandoned, and it's that barn behind there. That's the one, and you can see the roof is caved in from Courier. That's the one that they were talking about. And I don't know if that's the same Courier or not. That's why I was bringing it up. I don't know which way the addresses go there on Courier. So it might already be on your radar.
Worth checking out. Yeah, OEO report, ordinance enforcement officer. Oh, I think we have construction code authority, which also supposed to call building permit report, financial position report. And then we have our memorandum from our clerk treasurer. So, questions, Kim? So, the meeting you attended, the LCTA, I presume that's Lapeer County Tax.
Treasurers Association.
Okay. And so mainly what's discussed there is dealing with your tax rolls. And as far as, is there a change as to how you're addressing something like that, the tax rolls, and other issues that you address in terms of the advancement of technology, AI, whatever? Are the procedures and methodologies and the way that you deal with this, are there changes coming as way
They haven't
as far as
discussed-
how things are handled?
Yeah, they haven't discussed that at the Treasurers Association.
Yes, at some point I think it's going to hit. But I was also interested in the MMTA's treasurer's webinar. So it's been a little while, but in the not too far distant past, we'd had discussion about First Amendment auditors. Are communities still having to confront that and deal with that? That's happening. Present time. It's like current in other
Multiple
communities.
times too.
Pardon?
Multiple times too.
So they're there. Any reports of confrontations or
No,
difficulties?
basically, they just said, kill them with kindness, and if you're boring, they'll go away.
Yeah, okay. So just roll with it.
Just roll
And
with
they're
it.
handling it. Well, and that's a positive that,
Yeah, they gave us tips and tricks,
Hmm.
because they get anything personal off your desk, computers, anything that they can see.
good. Okay.
So,
Yeah, well, it's an ongoing issue, but the fact that it's being handled, that's a real plus. But I couldn't tell, you made a mention of match and state grant funds. You know what those grants were for? Do you recall?
It was for,
Oh, House Bill 4350.
yes.
State grants for local millages of eligible municipalities, which doesn't tell us much, like for what, Any detail that you
Well, it
recall as
says
to that?
eligible millage means the lesser of the following. The total number of mills levied by an eligible municipality as property taxes or special assessments. 2 mills. So it's one or the other, it sounds like. The lesser of. So it's either 2 mills or the total amount of mills levied for property taxes, which your mills are.
Okay, all right. So it may not apply here. Okay, all right, I'm just curious. Okay, and maybe of some interest to Ms. Councilmember Feldman and Bill 4708 as to EV charging stations, which appears to be an issue. And thank goodness Pete has knowledge regarding these things. But they're exempt from taxes, which I guess is wonderful, especially if they don't work, which may be the case. So, okay. All right. Lastly, just a little curiosity, fuel costs decreasing, understandable because it's going down. Do we know the basis for the statistic that number of gallons purchased are also decreased 16.9%?
That's just part of our fuel report that we get from our fuel card.
Yeah, I mean, do we know any sort of basis for
Oh, why
why?
it decreased?
Yeah, why the amount of gallons purchased is down? Maybe all the police cars are just staying here at the station, or I'm being facetious, of course, but just the 16.9, that's a fairly large number. So if it said 0.3%, okay, but 16.9, I don't know if anything's going on or not going on.
Just a lot of people on vacation.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah.
Just there's a basis for it.
We're getting out of the winter months, so we're not plowing or.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
That's my guess.
Yeah, but we know PD is the largest percentage, so okay. But yeah, vacation kind of explain it. Thank you. Just curious. Okay. Alrighty. So that I guess it's time. Entertain a motion for the consent agenda. Motion by President Pro Tem Dyke, supported by Councilmember Glasser, to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Objections? Unanimously approved by all those council members in attendance. Now is the time for public comment for any agenda item. Is there any public comment this evening relating to an item on our regular agenda? Being none. The regular agenda item number 1, Park Board Council Representative appointment. So every now and then we have an agenda item that's somewhat ironic that it would come out at this meeting because, let's see, our big advocates on behalf of the park, there's one, Jackie Kalka, aka Gone Girl. She's not with us anymore. And the other principal advocate for the park board for years has been Mindy, who's not here. I don't know whether she'd be willing. She might be the best suited person, but then I know she has a heavy load as far as the kind of job she has being in management at Eagle and raising her children, etc. So I don't know. Is there, I guess I can ask, is there anybody here this evening that would want to volunteer for that position? Not seeing a overwhelming response. So, so I guess what I would recommend to council is we put this back on the agenda when Mindy can attend and see if she has an interest.
The first meeting of August, we might be appointing a new member anyways, correct? And we have another new member that also could use some, they're on council. And most of us are already on board, so if many's not up to it. Hopefully one of them would be accepting of it also. So that gives us the potential for 3.
Speaking of which, aside from the one that was received, any other applications received? Okay. Underwhelming response. Okay, so agreed, we'll table this. Agenda item number 1. Okay. Regular agenda item number 2, commercial mower purchase. That in your ballpark, Mr. Treat? Sounds like.
Yeah, so our mower is reaching an age where it's costing us a lot of downtime. It's how I prefer it. And we need to upgrade. We only have one lawnmower, and earlier in the spring, our lawnmower went in the shop and I had to borrow one from Dryden. So I think we're in a financial good position to upgrade the lawnmower, and we can keep the old lawnmower as a spare for redundancy, or like say, I'll use this year as an example. We went through a drought the first 2 months of the season, and then all of a sudden we get all this rain and we have to play catch up with one lawnmower. And some of the properties didn't look all that great. Not a good thing on our part when we're going around giving people tickets for having long grass. So in a situation like that, then I can have 2 mowers go around town and play catch up. So, we reached out to the Village of Dryden and to Dryden schools because they're kind of like the closest, and they are running those Skag brand mowers, which I don't know a whole lot about them. We have an Exmark currently, but that is what the guys prefer to do or prefer to operate. We would like, there's 2. I don't have my computer in front of me. I apologize. I'm charging it. There's 2 different models. One has a more expensive motor. I don't know the difference. It's a couple $100, but that motor is the exact same motor that we have on our Exmark. So therefore we're familiar with it when it comes to oil changes. We can stock a filter, stuff like that. So we prefer, I think it's 12.
Bucky engine.
It's 12779, I think. So, yep. And that's available as soon as the village can write a check. So next Tuesday. So, I think the redundancy part of it's very important. I mean, our department took on mowing the park approximately 10 years ago. We recently took on all the DDA stuff. I believe the numbers are there, and we're saving all the department's money by keeping it in-house, even though with a little bit of maintenance for a lawnmower and some wages. I mean, we currently have no outside contractors, and I would prefer not to go that route. So
It's the route we're definitely going in, which is a plus. I agree. Yeah. Council have any questions? Mr. Treat? Sounds like his recommendation's well-founded.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of the Skag Cheetah version with the Kawasaki engine in the amount of $12,759 from Burdick Sales and Service.
Motion made by President Pro Tem Dyke, supported by Councilmember Feldman, to approve the current.
Glasser.
I'm sorry?
Glasser.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wayne's quick today.
Take that back. Remove P, put in Wayne, please. Thank you. Sorry. I think I was looking at my agenda rather than my ears is kind of working. Supported by Councilmember Glasser, approving the commercial mower purchase as stated on the record by President Pro Tem Dyke. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Objections? I'm sorry?
Said aye.
Oh, okay. Objections, none. Aye, and unanimously approved by all council members in attendance. Regular agenda item number 3, the F-350 plow purchase.
So, you guys remember, I think it was late winter, early spring, we came across a deal where we found a vehicle. Unfortunately, it wasn't outfitted with a plow or anything like that, but because of the availability, we approved to get it. Now it's time for me to, well, we waited for the budget and we budgeted to have the plow installed on that vehicle. We would like to install it ourselves. We do have that capability. However, that plow, if I order it tomorrow, they won't have it till September, and I have no idea what I'm doing in September. So I'm asking for the plow with the $631, I think it is, for installation, assuming that we will still do it ourselves. I can't project what's going to happen in September when the plow, it might be October, November, and then that's just not happening. But again, our last truck, the plow broke on that truck several years ago. We did auction the truck. How I like to look at it is the truck sold for $9,000. I'm trying to buy a plow for somewhat of a similar price. And we do prefer the Western plows because that's what we have on all the other vehicles. So this one is a little bit more than what we have purchased in the past for plows because it goes from 8 to 10 feet. It's hydraulic that goes 8 to 10 feet. And the reason we wanted that because we took over all the snow plowing for the DDA. And we think that that would be a good asset to have for providing those services for them. So again, this truck will be used everywhere, including the DDA district. And this will give us good redundancy as far as our little vehicles like pickup trucks and stuff like that go.
How's that truck working out so far?
It is just absolutely, the only thing, Steve mentioned gas prices earlier. We went from diesel to gas. We're using a lot more gas with this. And we didn't put two and two together, so, but other than that, it does everything we want it to do. But for a diesel engine, for the price difference, it's all right. But, so yeah, we got a smoking deal on that, I feel, in the winter, and now it's just time to finish outfitting it, and that's pretty much the last thing to do is to put a plow on it. So,
And we did take on that obligation for the snow plowing from the DDA, which again, another plus. And the
I think it's going to
Village
work
and-
out good for both parties.
and the village and DDA working together, which is happening more and
Yes.
more, which is interesting because somebody that we previously familiar with is starting I think a Facebook war over the DDA. Try to work together and move forward. It's like, time to have the sawdust hit the fan again. In any event, this sounds like a real plus. Questions from council members of Mr. Treat?
Can we approve the, is it Naphide?
Yep.
Naphide, Western plow in the amount of $8,336 with the additional, $631 for the installation fee. As presented.
Support.
Motion by President Pro Tem Dyke, supported by Councilmember Feldman, to approve the purchase of the F-350 snowplow as stated on the record. Any further discussion?
Just to clarify, that 631 is a not to exceed price. So if you can install it in time and there's not early snowfall or anything else, then we could save $631.
Yes.
Okay.
Tim, not to exceed.
Yes.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Objections? Unanimously approved by all council members in attendance. Last item on our regular agenda, it's number 4, the 2023 Dodge Durango purchase.
Last Thursday, I believe I was contacted by George, who runs Arrowhead Outfitting. He had a vehicle that was delivered to his shop from LaFontaine in Lansing to be outfitted. That buyer backed out, and he called us and wondered if we were in the market. The price for the Durango is 42,545, which is the my deal price. It's a lot better than the MSRP. The other packet that I provided you has the breakdown for the outfitting of the vehicle. As you all know, prices are getting expensive. Considering that the charge for the upfitting labor is only $2,300. So it's a lot of money in the equipment, unfortunately.
Were we budgeting for a vehicle this year anyways?
Yes.
Okay. In this scope?
No.
How much over the scope are we? How much over the scope are we?
About 15,000.
Okay, so how are we going to remedy that?
Well, it won't affect anything this fiscal year. It will affect next fiscal year, but I think Brian's done buying stuff. So
That's what you said last year.
I'm gonna help Andy out. He's gonna be sending 2 cars to auction in October.
Yeah.
He's got one sitting out there right now, and then whatever car he's gonna replace him. So,
That'll make up some of it.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm not hardball. I'm not hardballing you. I'm just.
No, I know. Yeah, I was going to bring that up, but Brian beat me to it. Oh, and the other thing with this vehicle, like I said, Arrowhead has it, so we don't have to wait for delivery. They can start outfitting it tomorrow, and it usually takes about 3 weeks.
It's mildly surprising to me because I drive a Durango, and yeah, it's an SUV, but it's got amazing power. It's like, wow, holy
Yeah.
smokes, those things really, I mean, might be as fast as the Chargers used to have. It's like, wow. Not going to race you, but it's like those things can really go. And the like a lot of storage to them. It's nice, the front row seats and back row seats, and I think you can make the and back another row of seats or a lot of storage area. So I think I love it. It's a terrific vehicle.
We'll be replacing the Ford Explorer, which I think has like 131,000 miles.
Yeah,
on it.
that's So 132. That's a lot, right? It's, at 132,000. It's reasonable to conclude it needs replacing. So, council members have any further questions of our police chief? If not, entertain a motion.
Purchase of the 2023 Dodge Durango by Arrowhead, which is to not exceed $62,000.
Is there support? Motion made by Councilmember Glasser, supported by Councilmember Feldman to purchase the 2023 Dodge Durango as fully explained by our police chief. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Objections? Unanimously approved by all council members in attendance. Now we're finished with our regular agenda. Now is the time for public comment for any non-agenda items. Any public comment this evening? Being none. And I think we are now, excuse me. Yeah. So, under open discussion, sewer relining presentation. Excuse me.
Good evening, Mr. President, council members. I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce our summer intern, who's going to be tag teaming with Mr. Treat on presenting the open discussion items before you tonight. Cameron Joseph is from Romeo. He is attending University of Wisconsin-Platteville, which is in the southwestern part of Wisconsin. He says it's mostly cornfields, so you can see flat land as the eye can see. But Cameron has been a great addition to our staff and team this summer. I can't say enough good things about this young man. He has a tremendous positive attitude. He demonstrates cooperation, self-initiative, and he has a lot of tech skills too, which will become evident as we go through the presentations tonight. And as you'll recall from last year, we had 2 summer interns that we partnered with Fort County Community Foundation. Again, this is a program that we're working with Kathy Dickens and her staff there. And we're so glad that Cameron showed interest in the Return to Earn program. And again, he's just been phenomenal with working with our DPW and Kim and the rest of the team. And so you'll recall last year our summer interns came and did a capstone project for you at the end of their tenure with us. This is part 1 of a 2-part capstone project. So this is just a preview of coming attractions, if you will. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to these 2 gentlemen to present the information for you.
So what me and Cameron had prepared for you was, we're gonna start, I'm gonna show you some of our relining progress. We have a couple issues with that, and then we're gonna move to, I'm gonna call it Kim's work order program that you guys approved. And Cameron's been helping us nail down, I'll let him talk about it, but he's been helping us get our records cleaned up, nail down assets. And it's been a phenomenal program. I didn't realize when Kim brought it on board that it was going to be such a good program. So as you know, we actually have the company, they're kind of coming and going, they're fitting us in as they can with the sewer relining. I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as I can. This sewer is on Branch Street, okay? Now, although the sewer plant fights I fight failure. Is the sewer going to fail or something like that? So Cameron will talk a little bit about infiltration in a minute, but the stuff that I'm going to show you would be what I would consider a catastrophic failure if we would not have had these sewers relined. So again, this sewer is on Branch Street. And you can see there, the sewer's broken. I don't know why they wouldn't have rated that as a high priority during our SAW grant, but for me, I haven't slept good since 2017. So,
What inch of sewer line is that?
this would be either an 8 or a 10. I do have all that in here, but to go out and, so what this is what the company does before they reline it. They have to go through and prep it. So therefore they take video and pictures, but the scaling you see on the side, the white stuff, that's actually calcium from infiltration.
Is that clay tile?
That's clay tile. So anywhere in these videos, if you see that white stuff, it's from infiltration. It may not be dripping right now, but at certain times of year it drips. No. So, but this is on Branch Street, right down towards Teeds, okay? So, just kind of wanted you guys to see that. And then there's, at 90 feet, see all this gravel in the bottom? That indicates that the sewer was broke in some place at some point. We shouldn't have gravel inside of our sanitary sewers. So bear with me here. I'm not an expert at some of this, but I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so This is that exact same sewer. See how it's been, it's all relined? And if you go to 65 feet where that last break was, that I was, so the clay tile's still there, it's on the outside. This is just the new liner for it. Right here's where all that broken pipe was, right in this area. Back it up a little bit. So I kind of wanted you to see the before and the after effect of how that sewer is like 14 feet deep. If that would have broke and collapsed, I mean, you gotta open the street up almost from sidewalk to sidewalk just to fix that, because it's so deep. I have a couple favorites here, so. All right, so this is a sewer on East St. Clair. At the top of the hill, as you're going down towards the lift station, all the houses on the south side, the sewer is behind the houses along the river, back in there. Because the elevation for the houses, the sewer could never go out into the street at that area. So this, as we're looking at this pipe doesn't look that bad. I see something over here dripping. This would be an infiltration. So, yeah, so we saw this, as we're watching the video, we saw this. We're like, what is that? You know, we're like, huh, that's just weird. So we continue. See how it drips? Now, no, we've had a very dry season. This sewer's next to the river. Can you imagine what that would look like if the river rose? This is so this was a different one. This was a second one. But still, this doesn't look right to me. Why is the sewer leaking? So we get down to another spot and we're looking, what is this? Okay, I can keep going and it keeps showing the same thing. What these are, they're rocks. Okay, I mean, these are actually sewer taps in the pipe. Clay tile came, like if you were gonna put a sewer tap into a house, put that one there and then tie the tap in. Well, what somebody did, and I mean, it's an assumption, but somebody used leftover pipe and decided to cap them with rocks. So I'm not saying there's any right or wrong to that, but back when this was installed, that was probably a decent option. They didn't care about infiltration. You know, this is an active sewer lead right here. But these rocks keep going on and on down the whole line, and they're leaking. Okay? So I don't have an after of this yet, but all that infiltration will be sealed up, and it can't get into the sanitary sewer.
Saw grant?
I don't know why they didn't catch this in the saw grant. You see, there's another rock. Or why it wasn't brought to our attention. I couldn't be 24/7 with these guys, but we ran across 5 of these before we realized they're rocks. They capped them with rock. You know, I mean, there may be a little bit of cement there, but you can see where they're obviously, every one of them's leaking. So, another rock. I mean, I don't want to say anything bad about the old timers or whatever, because they knew the river flowed one way and they said, set the sewer up that way, it'll flow. They didn't care. There wasn't an infiltration problem back then. They were just glad to get their bathrooms inside, you know? So yeah, that was one of my favorite. There's another rock. this is one of my favorites, so I wanted to share that with you. This is the other one. And then I'll turn it over to Cameron. So this pipe here, this is a very large pipe. Should say the size here. I think it's a 14 or 16 inch. And this actually crosses underneath M53 by the granary or the yes. So you can see some cracks in the pipe. This is an actual sewer lead. You can see there's tree roots up in there. But you can see where the pipe's cracked. For me, I'm not comfortable with that, you know. This is just the jetter. That's how they do it. They clean it and televise it at the same time. Yeah. Now this would be what I would call a catastrophic failure if it failed underneath the highway. I don't have any way to fix this. This would be, you know, you have to reroute traffic around town and all that stuff. Yep. And right here would be right smack dab in the middle of M53. I'm not sure what this is. I almost thought it was a rock like the last one. I'm not sure. It could be a rock that they didn't understand backfilling back in the day either. They would just backfill with whatever they dug. So it could be a rock that's intruding into the sewer. But you can see where it's leaking water. I know the jetter just went through there, but that is groundwater that's leaking. And I know it doesn't look like a lot, but if you get 10 of those, like the one on East St. Clair, over a 24-hour period, it will add up. Cameron will talk a little bit about that. So the other thing that I haven't slept real good about is this. As we're coming across underneath M53, the sewer pipe turned into a culvert. Well, you can't have a culvert under the ground with water because why? It rusts, okay? I don't know why this wasn't brought to our attention during our SAW grant, but for me, I'm sleeping a lot better though, you know, since last week, but it just doesn't make sense. If that would have failed, we would have had, you know, you have to close the whole town down there to get that fixed. I'm sure these guys were as shocked as me. That's why they're they're looking at it. So I don't want to say they didn't do things right back in the day. That might have been the best. I have no idea when these sewers, we don't have very good records, you know, but that.
And they talked about buying one tire at a time to save money back then.
Right.
So if their project was coming to an end and they were tight on budget, they probably just went out and bought the culvert to finish it off.
Right. So this would be that pipe that's going underneath 53 now. I'm sure we'll all sleep better at night knowing that.
Life expectancy of the liner.
You know, when we had the ones done in the past, they said 100 years. Now they're only saying 80. It's going to outlast anybody here. I'm telling you, that stuff gets hard. The way it's cured and everything, the liner has to be built. That's why they go through the sewer first and assess it, because it actually gets built for that particular sewer. So this is where, right in this area up here around 99 feet is the area that it turned back into that culvert. You can almost see the ribs right in there. None of us here will ever have to worry about the sewer. Let's just put it that way. That's how long that stuff lasts. Right here, we're inside that culvert now. So, you know, to dig it up versus what we're doing is good. I mean, it's a lot less expensive. And so my battle is failure, where wastewaters is infiltration. So Cameron's going to talk a little bit about infiltration and record keeping. Would that be fair?
Yeah, so our goal, after seeing the videos, was to try to quantify some of the progress that was made. all this pipe was relined anywhere from May 30th to June 30th. So it gave us about a 16-day window in July to try to look at that. So I worked a little bit with wastewater treatment and DPW to try to get a handle and see if there was some sort of timeline that we could compare it to, as far as maybe a previous July where the water usage was similar and rainfall was similar. Unfortunately, that was tough to do because, I mean, I'm sure as you all know, we got about 5.5 inches in the first 16 days of July. So it was difficult to find a comparison for that. But what I was able to look at with the suggestion from Brian is how much each individual water droplet that came off of the pipe that we classify as infiltration would affect the wastewater treatment plant in general. So we determined that roughly, just by counting, that an average of 60 drops per minute came from each spot of infiltration, whether it was a crack or a rock that was used to seal, and eventually flowed into the wastewater treatment plant. Well, 60 drops per minute turns into 7 gallons per day per one individual crack of infiltration, and that turns into about 2,800 gallons per year. So if you look at it on just the scale of one pipe, let's say we have 10 different cracks and 10 different spots of infiltration, you multiply that number by 10, you're looking at 28,000 gallons a year just for each individual pipe. So as we go through and reline that, it should pop up as we accumulate months and months of data to compare with prior years. We should have a pretty vast difference in infiltration. So,
And it's a shot in the dark. Okay, at least we done something. I truly believe that the relining that we spent the funds on this year is going to, you may not still see a difference. I think that we are, but you may not on certain rainfalls and stuff like that, but it doesn't give us a reason to stop doing it. We got to continue to do it. Clay tile was the best thing invented when they were installed. Who would have thought that the ground, well, a lot of wet areas, they put clay tile to drain the groundwater too. So we don't want to end up treating the rainwater if we don't have to, but to effectively fight the infiltration, I think that the relining is the way to go. So.
Like from an infrastructure standpoint and a safety standpoint of longevity with our pipes, that's almost more important than the infiltration.
I mean, well, you're fighting two birds with one stone. Would that make, clay tile, I don't know, you can break it just tap it with a hammer. How it's I'm not an engineer, but how it structurally how it can be 17 feet in the ground on top of rock is beyond me. I've tapped them with a backhoe barely digging and they break and they shatter into a million pieces. It's like, how does this stuff stay together under the ground, but yeah. But this relining, we've been doing it. We're making great strides. This year was the most we've done. We're still not done with the project. We have a couple more areas to go. I feel we targeted very good areas, and I think we just need to keep moving forward.
So does the liner, is that a structural component as well?
So I guess if I can explain the process, that might answer your question. When they prep those lines, they measure everything. Then back in their shop or wherever they go, they have to build the liner for that. And what it is, I do have some video and stuff and pictures. When they have the liner, they pull the liner through, and then it's like a sock that they pull it inside out. The outside of the liner is actually the inside of the pipe until they pull it all the way through. Then they have large trucks with furnaces, and it's soaked in a resin. It almost smells like fiberglass or Bondo. And then when they heat up the water, they have to use water and then a big furnace truck, and then they actually bake it. And somehow it chemically reacts and just, it gets hard. You can't barely cut it when you're done with it. I got some pieces in the garage. And then they'll go through with a robot and they cut out all the sewer leads after that. They know right where they are. Usually the camera guys drive the before and the after right next to each other, and they know where all the leads are. And some leads back, you saw like they won't cut those ones back open with the rocks. I have to sign off on every one because there are some, like on Branch Street, that were never connected to anything. Some areas of town had the sewers before the houses were built, if that makes any sense. You know, they were like, oh, we're gonna put a house here one day, put a tap. Well, then they never use the tap, so it's leaking. So, I mean, did that kind of answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, so, you know, that culvert is eventually gonna deteriorate away,
Yes,
and will the liner there is a struggle.
correct,
If it can handle the pressure that's going into
Correct.
the-
yep, oh yeah, yep. So I thought the same thing. It's one of the reasons why I targeted that area. And why an engineer would never, I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about our SAW grant, we learned a lot, but some of those areas I showed you those should have been priorities in 2017. In my eyes, they should have been, and they have been for me, you know, so. You want to start the other one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody's some questions. So, what's on the screen now, and what I'm going to pass out are currently our public records regarding storm drains, any sort of water and sanitary systems that we have. So that's a ledger that can be passed around. That is a card, and these cards list addresses with information about storm drains, curb boxes, any of our water systems. And here's an extra if you'd like to look at that one too. And that is right now, prior to the implementation of our ShareNet software, that is the only public record that gives us a location of all of our water services. All of our water services and sanitary services are on cards like that. And as you can see, I mean, the rough sketches, they'll give you directions as far, 2 feet from the sidewalk, 3 feet from, the oak tree in the backyard. So information like that is, I'm sure you all agree, relatively outdated. Trees have been torn down, brick walls have been moved. And then in addition to that, Brian has this up on the screen.
So this is a map that somebody way before, probably Fred, if you guys remember Fred, they started this. This is our record. So when we get a missed dig and we have to go out, we have to search these cards, and these cards are something that we have always discovered and found out in the field. So to mark our utilities, or even to shut down a water main or something, we have to look at a big map that's on display, or look through these cards, and you're like an investigator. You're trying to figure out what's going on here, which doesn't seem like a bad deal. I had this map scanned through our engineers, and now we have it on PDF. And I was like, yes, if the garage ever burns down, we will still have some sort of record. Well, then Kim implemented her new program, and do you want me to go there, or
Yeah.
are you ready for that?
Yep.
Kim, you can step in at any time. This is the ShareNet. This is a program where now work orders come through for DPW, wastewater, whoever, police, it doesn't matter, whatever. And it also develops a record. So now we have record. There is no more, well, I told you 2 weeks ago, yeah, well, if you do my job, you forget by the time you leave this building and hit the corner, So what we did as far as assets, you go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, so the goal with this is to completely take over from the cards and the public records that we have currently on paper, written in cursive and in diagrams. So we started this on Wednesday, July 12th. And as you can see on the screen, these are all individual assets we've logged. We've logged 250 assets since Wednesday. That's 5 days working part-time on this, along with, because DPW has many other responsibilities. And when I say assets, I'm referring to mainly water shutoffs for individual addresses, but also, as you can see here, some sanitary as well. We have different icons for each service. Water shutoffs are these blue icons here. And we actually, if you'd like, we can look at these from an individual standpoint. If we want to just look at the curb stops, I can shut off other assets, and now we're just looking at curb stops.
I was just going to
Yes.
say the same thing.
Yep.
I noticed them all
So-
painted
Yep.
when we were walking yesterday morning.
Yes, and so, you know, to add to what Cameron's saying, I've been here almost 18 years, so I have a lot of it in here. And my guys will be like, where's the water service for this address? And I'll be like, well, it's over here. You know, and they'll be out in the yard with a metal detector looking, and I'll walk right, there it is, you know, or I'll, you know, you have to search through these cards. And no offense, I'm gonna use, Cameron wasn't taught cursive in school, so he can't read some of this stuff. You know, and that's the new generation. There's gonna be a generation that comes on, what does this stuff mean? Which we've already dealt with it. I have some documents down there that has people's names, not addresses. It was names of who, those people are gone. I mean, I don't know when addresses came, but go ahead.
Yeah, so ideally, as you said, we've been going around making the blue lines, and that's kind of been the process of locating. The hard things are really the curb stops, and that's what we started with, is we had to go around, and based on Brian's memory and what we have on those cards, we have to locate them using basically metal detectors, find them in the ground, dig them up. We found old gas caps, we found property markers. So that's been a whole process of consolidating this. And Yep, that was a screwdriver. So this is looking at an individual curb stop here. So you see, we can add a title. It's categorized to an asset type. There's an asset number. It's easy for lookup values. You can add tons of different information. This is a condition that some of our hydrants and things have been marked from. I believe the SAW grant. Or an asset management. There was, an asset management plan. Conditions are marked on some of our assets that were already previously assigned. You can add purchase dates, purchase amounts. Descriptions have been specifically helpful for a lot of, oddities in some of our assets, whether, there's a broken cap on one of our curb stops and things of that nature. And the thing that we've really been most excited about is the geo address and the geolocation. We hope they would be exact coordinates, but based on, the level of technology in the iPhone GPS, it's more relative. And the thing that we have found has been helpful to our exact location are the pictures we've been able to attach. So this is a curb stop on North Main here. And before, when all we had was a card giving you footage from a sidewalk and maybe a tree, now we have a picture and
Landmarks. They
Right.
They very seldomly move the house.
Yeah.
I mean, it does happen.
Yeah.
But the house, the trees, the poles, that stuff gets moved.
Yeah.
You know,
And it can all be updated too. If they're doing work on a water system, or, if they do build a new house, then it takes, all it is take a picture and upload it. And then you have a new document that you can reference when you're finding it.
and all of my crew has this on their phone.
Yep.
So there's no need to go back to the garage, and I don't even want to show you what all those came in, because it's like a case, and when we get a lot of mistakes, the case goes in the truck and you're flipping through cards. Now you just flip out
Yeah.
the phone. So
Yeah, so then that's curb stops. We have different icons. So this right here is for a valve, which we also have descriptions for. See, this one, we can also integrate some of the knowledge off of the card, just because that is sometimes helpful. In the description, you see a condition noted there.
So when Tim got the program, the company actually put in, I can't remember what year, but we had to do an asset management program for the water system. And they were able to take all of our valves and all of our hydrants, and they just moved it. I mean, maybe it wasn't that simple, but they just put it into the system. So all of the numbering for the valves and all of the locations, everything that you saw on that map is already in this system. The only thing we have to go out there and do is geolocate, I call it geolocating, and take a picture.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, so all the information is in there. And if eventually with curb stop locations, if there's more information that needs to be added, it's as simple as going on the program and just entering the data. These tabs are also can be added. I know Kim's done a lot of work in going through and helping us add different icons and add different portions. The company that we've worked with to install this has been pretty cooperative in helping us out with that on Zoom calls and through email, over the phone. So that's been really nice. I mean, yeah, you can see here there's length, width, everything. And then a picture, we have pictures here too for this valve. Again, making it super easy
So
to locate relative.
to help you understand the picture, that valve is below grade. You mow, the gentleman or whoever lives there mows over it every day. You know, it's mainly in here, we're on the map. This one probably said 32, whatever it said, 32 feet from the pole. Well, they move poles and the trees die and they fall. Mailboxes, they give them everything but a house gets moved that, you know. So between the geo address and the picture, it's gonna get us close enough to where we know where we're looking instead of throughout a whole yard. So time, I mean, I'm telling you, it's gonna save us so much time. Go ahead.
Yeah. So once all these assets are added to, data entry can be added. And also, I know one of the big pushes for this software too was capability to add work orders and things. So then it's right on the phone. All of Brian's guys have access to it, so they can go in, they can list that they've completed work orders. And all it is a couple clicks. They can get the work orders on their phone. They can see the details. They can add notes. They can take pictures. It's all on the software, and it's accessible by everybody. It should be accessible by everybody in the office and then everybody out in the field. So I think in my mind and the mind of everybody in the office has kind of been looking to move all this stuff on paper, looking at it as a big picture thing where it's not just like turning these public records off of the cards and onto the computer system, which is right now the biggest draw for us because, and especially Brian, because a lot of it, like he said, is in his head, and he has to individually go with his guys to try to find a lot of those services. But the capabilities with this are pretty unbelievable as far as the scale of it with work orders. And as you see here, there's different assets can be located.
So the water spigot is all curb stops. That would be our number one, the hardest thing to find. The fire hydrant is obviously the fire hydrant, and then the circle, the blue circle with an X is a valve. The purple up there is storm drains, and then we did add sanitary sewer. And some of those cards that you see, I have been putting the information in there just to get it off the card, because we're gonna have a burning party one day and burn all that stuff. But if you can go down to the DPW garage real quick. This is something that's gonna help us present to council when it's time for, like, go ahead and hit the card for vehicle replacement. So again, all of my maintenance for my vehicles are originally done. They were originally done on a 5x8 card. Now they're done in a book. And then when the guys do something, I take the book back to my computer and I log that stuff into my computer. Now we can actually develop a maintenance record on this program. And like Kim has already done the 2022 truck. She put the purchase, the title, all that stuff in there. And we have records, you know, if you want to pose a picture up, I added a picture to that. So, I mean, if you can't picture, boom, there it is, you know, so it's just, for me, as the guy out in the field, this just completely made our jobs a lot easier. I mean, and we do anywhere from 8 to 10 missed digs a week. So that's when a lot of the information will be adding into it.
Yeah, like Brian said, information can be added during missed digs. We kind of prioritize this in the first week just to try to hit the ground running and understand what the capabilities of this were. And again, I'm only here until August 1st because I do have to return early for football and school. So as long as I'm here, it's been pretty helpful. And we've just worked roughly 4-ish hours, probably, I would say, a day on this, just logging assets, whether it's 2 or 3 of us in the field. And we have done 250 so far, which is, 50 a day. It's a lot quicker than we had imagined moving. And in the future, a lot of that can be done during mistakes and while those guys are out in the field doing various work. So,
Yeah, I don't think it's something that's gonna be done tomorrow, but at least we got it in the cloud. The next guy that takes over will have all the information, so.
I can just interject and talk about Cameron's involvement in this project. We acquired this program, and, Kim has been interfacing with the vendor and working with staff people like our enforcement official officer on that part of the program as well too. But when it came to the infrastructure, we were kind of at a standstill momentarily, and we asked Cameron to review the software and the program. And within a very short period of time, because of his technical knowledge, being a youngster, if you will, that he actually had a very discrete understanding of what the program was all about, and was able to go out in the field immediately and start training our guys. And, the younger guys that are on the team picked it up right away. And if I could just share the quick story about Isaac, or if you want to elaborate on that, where Isaac had some work order or something using this program, and he said, I was done in 2 minutes. Normally, it would have taken me a half hour, with all of the, back and forth and so on and so forth. So it's a time saver. And again, this is, just part of what this young man has helped contribute to the team in a very short period of time. So thank you, Cameron, for all your help and working with us. So.
yeah, thank you. Like you said, I think it'll be a thing that especially young guys like Isaac should be able to pick up, and they have picked up super quickly with work orders and logging assets. And I think guys in the future like Jeff and Bill, it's once taught, I think it is a fairly simple process, and it can all be logged pretty easily. So I'm really glad that I've had the opportunity to come in and help with it, because it's something that we talk about a lot in my classes. I'm looking to be an environmental engineer, and GIS systems and virtual systems like this where you can log data and keep records are pretty prevalent. So I'm really grateful that I've been able to work with everybody and learn a lot about a municipality. So I really appreciate it.
I know it's only for a short period of time. And yeah, I'm hearing nothing but good about your, the services that you've rendered. But almost as important, what position do you play on the football team?
I play center. Yeah.
You're center,
Oh
okay.
yeah. Yep.
So
Yep.
you're a hiker.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Right up front. Yep. Yep. That's it.
Yes. Yeah. So thank you for all the work, and obviously it's very important what modern techniques, internet, etc., bring to us efficiency. And the quicker you can get things done, because there's so much to do, it's very, very helpful. It moves the village along. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
So Brian, you ready for augmented reality yet?
Sleeping really good at night.
So this, I'm sure their plan in the future is to have that integrate with augmented reality. So that's, there's a thing called a HoloLens or Oculus. The HoloLens, it looks like safety glasses. You could pull that picture with those tags on it up, and you would see that overlaid with what you see in front of you.
Yeah, it's like
So you would see the little blue thing on the ground, and you could walk right up to it, even if it was buried,
Yeah.
and it would be like, okay, it's located right there.
Absolutely, that's the goal. That the goal is to not have to spend so much time looking for things. So my biggest thing for the last few years has been a simple fire is going to take all our records away. You know, I mean, I was very proud when I had the map scanned and on PDF, you know, but this is just way different than that. But
That, and there's a few geocaching apps that are more accurate with your geolocation. They'll give you, depending on what you're using, 3-dimensional, so elevation plus, either longitude, latitude, or UTM grid.
Yeah, I think that would probably, we were hoping that it would be a direct pinpoint. And it's really just a GPS system on the app. And like, that's what they kind of pitched it to us, is you would be able to hit the map from wherever your phone is out in the field, and it would drop that pinpoint wherever your phone is. But I mean, it'll put us across the street sometime, and we just drag it to a relative location. Yeah. So, and I believe there is an option to input a latitude, longitude. So something like that might be helpful, or if we were to just tag it on that app and then drag the coordinates into the app, that might be helpful.
Yeah. And I mean, just so that you know, there is intentional error in your GIS coordinates in your phone, right? That's intentional. They don't want you to have exact location, plus or minus 3 feet. Unless you're using a theodolite, you can get within quarter, half inch. But no, there's intentional error put into those coordinates for reasons outside of our control.
Are we all set on that? Okay. And what is he next on open discussion is work order software presentation.
Oh, that was.
That was it.
That was, okay, that was the
That
whole
was
thing. To make sure, okay. Easy to get over my head, obviously. All right, so that wraps up our agenda. Council member comment time. David, anything to bring to council?
Just to reiterate, Cameron's involvement tonight was phase one. He'll be back in 2 weeks before his departure to make the Pioneers a winning football team this year, to provide an update on the other projects that he's been involved in, which have been quite a few. The only other item I wanted to share with you folks is Council Member Steffler made a comment regarding an issue that she observed in downtown regarding a gas station spill concern. And I followed up with Fire Chief Smith regarding that particular incident. And he has assured me, because he was on site during that event, that all of the proper fire department protocols and procedures were followed to the letter. And he's actually going to send me a final report from the company that was called out to do the spill review. And he thought he was going to have that yesterday, and it has not arrived via email to him yet. But once I get that, I will forward that to you folks, just so that you have, that notification. So, her, passing by and seeing somebody, allegedly kick something into the drain, there were the proper, I don't know if it's cheesecloth or screening or whatever it is, but they install proper safety methods in the drains to make sure that those types of floor dry type things that soak up the liquid don't go down the drain. So, and I was assured that that was followed. So I just wanted to pass on that information to you folks.
Wayne?
Not this time.
So along those lines, actually, just in happenstance, in a conversation with our county emergency manager, she asked if she had heard that we had a hazmat instance here. And I guess it's protocol that we're supposed to let the county emergency manager know if we have a hazmat incident. So she said if Eagle got called, she should have been notified. And I said I would bring it here and make sure that, we're following the right rules. I actually was talking to her about working with us on updating our emergency management plan, which she said that she would more than happily meet with.
Yeah, she reached out.
Oh, did she? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. That's why I wanted to make sure she did. That work through that for an update for us based on that. And that's all I've got.
Yeah, just real We sat in a meeting about 8 years ago when we first started basing our water rates because we had neglected water rates for a long time and starting to build an asset management plan and a plan for future investments and things. And we sat here and argued with a person in the audience about what are we doing and what are our future plans. And I think we've seen over the last few years, especially tonight, really shows that the investment in the software, the investment in sewer lining, the investment in equipment is kind of showing what is happening. Because as long as I've been around, I've never seen the inside of a sewer line that looks like that. That scared me. And so knowing that we're being proactive, kind of like when we did with the generators on the lift station so many years ago, I just want to compliment staff and council both for being more proactive over the last decade and trying to get in line with everything that needs to be done, so we're more consistent and don't have to spend as much money. So
It's better governance. Yeah, and it makes us more efficient and
but the
infrastructure.
Right, but
Yeah.
but the big argument that night was what are you doing with the capital improvement funds? And I think I listed up a bunch of stuff we had done, but even since that time, tonight really speculated the importance of like the ledger going around. I looked on Courier Street, and 205 Courier Street, it says so and so's house, from probably 1965 or something. But and we go from that to what we're seeing now. So
Yeah, I mean, when I came on council, for apparently decades, council had ignored infrastructure. And how do you have a decent town? Yeah, if you don't have infrastructure, that's your basis, and you operate from there. And you have to have.
Or if you read this card from the East St. Clair lift station, 6-inch clamp on the sewer forced main, clamp on 6-inch forced main, 6-inch steel pipe going north, filled hole with sand, repaired 2785. There's your rocks.
Yeah.
Rocks.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't, and we, as Brian is pointing out, going back, didn't have records. It's that whole muddy claw thing where,
If I could just, you guys are the ones, we can't do our job without you guys approving it. And you guys really need to pat yourselves on the back. The things I show you, you would never see it because they're underground. It's only things that me or my staff sees. It's like with the work order program, training and education's key. Everybody needs it. You need it. I need it. But we're doing our job, and it's being done easier because you guys are making very good decisions. So I think you guys should pat yourselves on the back. I'm just doing a job. I can only be as good as you guys let me. So sorry, I just had to say something.
No, and that's appreciated. And it's a matter of keep looking forward and not being too old school, because old school, things change, things move on. And of course, as I've mentioned, at least over the last year, things keep accelerating and moving at a faster pace. And we have to keep up with all of that. I can remember telling council over the years, you realize that you are going to end up being replaced by the younger generations, so they really matter. And that, so people keep talking about kids and their schooling and, what COVID did to their education, et cetera, and that's going to be our younger generation coming up. But they're the ones that are coming up. And we certainly have to pay attention to all the changes and being aware of the fact that norms, mores, et cetera, they keep changing. And you have to adapt to those and kind of roll with the punches, so to speak. So, Tim, you all set? Okay. So me and my balloons say we're adjourned.
There's your cards. Don't you?